Well, a good Wednesday evening to you. I'm First Alert meteorologist David Ernst here with a weather update for you. If you're watching this on the WBAY TV2 page, thank you for joining in. Bruce, good to see you in here from Appleton. You can head over to my page, David Ernst, WBAY meteorologist, and follow me there. I will occasionally post some content that you may not see on the air. It gives you an opportunity to ask any questions you may have regarding the forecast or weather in general. And I will also mention that now is as good a time as any to download our free WBAY First Alert weather app. If you're watching this from a desktop or laptop computer, you want to put that app on your mobile device, QR code right beneath me here. You can point your smartphone's camera at that, and it will take you to the splash page to download the app for free. You've got interactive radar on there. Of course, we post videos from the First Alert Weather Center routinely throughout the day. We can stream severe weather coverage to the app, so it's a great tool to have. And again, that interactive radar and the lightning alerts really come in handy when you're out and about just to check in and see how things are progressing or how close rain or storms might be coming to you, or you can get the good news that everything is shifting away or going to miss. And over the weekend, it's possible that that may come in handy by Sunday. It looks like there will be a chance for some spotty rain showers. Nothing too widespread there, but we are going to see that potential in central and eastern Wisconsin. There will be some showers around. Also feeling a bit humid by Sunday. We'll see the humidity gradually rise over the next couple of days. Warmest day of this upcoming stretch of warm weather is looking like it will be tomorrow. On Thursday, we should see our high temperatures pushing into the middle and perhaps even the upper 80s in some spots. So let's go ahead and get into the forecast, and I suppose we'll start out just by looking at where we were today. Of course, we have been first alerting you to this warm-up for about the last week, and now we're getting into this stretch where temperatures today were in the lower and middle 80s for most of us for highs. Even along the lakeshore, we still had those lower 80s. I would look to best those numbers by about 5 degrees, 4 or 5 degrees in most spots, so we're looking at middle to upper 80s. I don't think anyone quite hits 90 tomorrow, but we'll still be closer to 90 than we will be to 80, I feel like, at least away from Lake Michigan. Right now, it is fairly quiet. We'll show you the satellite and radar composite here. And there's hardly a cloud in the sky. We do have some wildfire smoke overhead, but it's not really mixing down to the ground. We can check the air quality numbers here in just a second. Let me find the smoke. We'll look at that in particular, as earlier today we did have the numbers get into the moderate category, but that was actually because of ground level ozone and not the smoke that is overhead. That smoke is lingering aloft and will likely hang around through the night and into tomorrow. So let me find the graphic here. Well, this is the current air quality, and this is the combined map. So this is going to show air quality both in regard to smoke as well as ground level ozone. And I'll find my graphic here in just a second to split those two out and show you just what it is based on the smoke content. Just got to find the local version of that and not the wide map, just so I can get the local numbers in it. Bear with me here for just a second. I don't have it loaded into the show that we are watching right now. So air quality, smoke, northeastern Wisconsin. There we go. So these numbers are going to be because of smoke, particulate matter, not the ozone. So what you were looking at earlier, the map was showing the combined air quality because of ozone and smoke, and it was the ozone that had us up in that moderate category, even the unhealthy for some, that unhealthy for sensitive groups there in Sheboygan. But notice because of smoke, we're down to 23, which is again in the good category across all of northeastern Wisconsin. So there is some air quality, or I should say there are some air quality issues, but they are actually because of ozone, and I would expect that we see more of that tomorrow, as when you get into these warmer stretches, that puts you in more favorable territory when you get those ozone precursors in, that we do have more ground level ozone forming, so we likely would see some of those issues, and especially the case right along the I-43 corridor, down the Lake Michigan shoreline, and down on into the Milwaukee and Chicago areas, likely where that would be worse. So we'll have to be mindful of those air quality concerns tomorrow. Smoke should not be an issue. What we are going to expect for tomorrow will be warmer temperatures. Right now, we're about even with where we were yesterday at this same time, and because of the low humidity, we likely will see temperatures tonight still down in the 50s for a nighttime low, so it still should be a comfortable night. I see Oconto right now at 59, but most of us are still in the middle and upper 60s around the Fox Valley and towards the lakeshore. We do have some lower 60s in north central Wisconsin. Skies are clear outside of that wildfire smoke, so I don't anticipate that has a real big impact on temperatures. So again, with low humidity, we should be settling down into the 50s for most lows tonight. Maybe a few spots stay in the lower 60s there lakeside. Low to mid 50s across the North Woods, upper half of the 50s around the Fox Valley. Normal low temperature this time of year is in the lower 50s, so we will be about 5 degrees above that in most spots, and then probably closer to 10, maybe even 15 degrees above average for the high temperature. So this is our high temperature forecast for tomorrow, your Thursday, middle and perhaps even some upper 80s away from Lake Michigan, upper 70s to lower 80s lakeside. There'll be a little bit of an easterly component to the wind, and so anytime you can get that onshore flow, it does keep temperatures a little bit cooler right along the immediate lakeshore, as those water temperatures are still generally in the 60s, perhaps to around 70 this time of the year. In fact, I do have, let's go ahead and take a look at the water temperature outlook right now. Just to see where it stands. These numbers come for the Lake Michigan side of things anyway, from the Great Lakes Environmental Research Laboratory. I download their grid and then plot those numbers that you see there. So Two Rivers Lakeshore, Kewanee Lakeshore, again, mid-60s. You get into some of the shallower bodies of water, the bay and area rivers, maybe closer to 70 degrees. But these temperatures are about as warm as they get during the year. We'll see some low to mid 70s right in the peak of summer, so perhaps we are starting just to trend down slightly, and that of course a result of some of the cooler nights we've had with the low humidity. As far as the humidity goes tomorrow on your Thursday, it should be feeling pretty comfortable. Nancy, nice to see you on here. I hope everything is going good in Shawano. We will look for your forecast to be very similar to what it is around the Green Bay area tomorrow. So you'll expect a dew point right around 60 degrees. So, in some spots, maybe it does feel slightly humid, but it's not going to be as uncomfortable as we have been at other times this summer. And then the wide view here for our dew point trend looking into next week, we do see those numbers going up. When the dew point gets above 60, you do start to notice the humidity. 70 is where it really becomes uncomfortable, unbearable, if you will. If you remember back about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, we had dew point temperatures that were up close to 80 degrees. That is just tropical, miserable air. So we won't be that bad, but middle 60s, yes, they are going to feel more uncomfortable than it does right now, and that's also going to keep those nighttime temperatures from dropping as cool as we have the last several nights, and certainly nowhere near where we were last weekend when we had that little fall preview where lows were down in the 40s and 30s, had some frost advisories issued. We're still looking at more summertime weather for the foreseeable future. In fact, the extended forecast will show every single day is above average. So even though tomorrow, Thursday, likely our hottest day of this stretch, temperatures will remain well above average. In fact, the average high today is 74. Tomorrow it drops to 73. And in a couple more days, it'll drop to 72. Basically, it's about every 3 days we drop a degree off of that average temperature. So, by this time next week, the average will be, 2-3 degrees lower than it is right now. And by the end of the month, our average high is in the mid-60s. So September certainly a month of change and transition, but for the next 7 days, it looks like we stay above average. Now, when we pull up the 8 to 14-day temperature outlook, so this is going to pick up right after the end of that 7-day forecast and carry us 2 weeks into the future. So essentially the beginning of the fall season and then getting into that final week of September. And you'll notice that temperatures are still likely to be well above average, or at least a high likelihood of above average temperatures is how I should phrase that. You don't necessarily, with this graphic here, get an indication of how warm or hot it will be. It's the likelihood of being above average, but anytime you're at the higher end of that scale, an 80-90% chance of being above average, you can certainly count on there being some warmer days in there, as opposed to it just being a degree or two of difference. So those low 80s continue for a good part of next week. It will be looking like next weekend that we start to see a little bit of a cool down, and even that does not appear like it would be a very significant cool down. Let me, you won't be able to see the graphics I'm looking at on my computer over here. This is just a website that I use to help put my forecast together. But I'll give you just kind of a synopsis, if you will, of what we would be looking at for our potential temperatures getting into that down the line extended forecast, so in that 7 to 10, 12-day range, and just show you what some of the computer guidance is saying. If my computer wants to cooperate, I don't know if it's a server issue with the website or what, but it has been running a little bit slow for me here the last several days. So the European ensemble, which is 50 different computer models kind of combined and averaged out into one number, and it will show temperatures staying at 80 degrees through next Saturday. Through this weekend, all through next week around 80, and then as we cool off into that final week, so you get into that September 21st through 25th time frame, right at the tail end of that 14-day outlook, that's when temperatures settle into the lower and middle 70s, which again, by that time of the month is still above average. The last week of September, our average high falls into the 60s, so it'll be 68, 67 degrees as we start to get into that time frame. So even a high of 72, while that is average today, by the end of the month, 2 weeks from now, that's actually an above average temperature. The American GFS ensemble mean, and that's 30 different models averaged together, also shows a high of 82 next Friday, and then we go to 79 on Saturday. It as well brings those temperatures back into the middle range of the 70s into that 23rd, 24th, 25th time frame. So again, even though it's cooler than what we're going into at that time of September, that's still above average. So that's how we end up with that 80, 90% chance, as it looks like well through next week highs will stay into the lower half of the 80s. Nighttime temperatures probably in the low to mid 60s, so it is going to be feeling at least a little humid, not as uncomfortable as it can be, but there will certainly be a little bit of stickiness in the air, especially Sunday and Monday into next week, and then it looks like late next week as we start to kind of come out of this warmer pattern, there may be a little bit of a spike in the humidity. So that'll be something to monitor. As far as our rain chances go, let me go ahead and get us back over here onto the weather computer. I do have that chance in there for Sunday. If you're heading to Lambeau Field for the Packers and Colts, it's not a guarantee that there will be rainfall around. It's a relatively low-end chance in that showers will be very spotty in nature. I would put the thunder threat even lower than the chances for just overall rainfall, but you never say never, especially when the humidity is up. So I wouldn't rule it out completely, and it's not a bad idea perhaps to get yourself set up with a poncho or something like that ready to go just in case, as there are no umbrellas allowed at Lambeau Field. Just a quick refresher on that, it's got to be a poncho or a raincoat, something like that. No umbrellas allowed into the lower bowl. As far as those rain chances go Saturday, looks like everything is staying to the west. At least that has been kind of the computer guidance consensus over the last couple of days. But you'll notice as we start heading into Sunday, even though there's not a lot of rainfall around in central and eastern Wisconsin, you do see some of that green bubbling up. So there will be some spotty rain showers that develop, and we will certainly be monitoring that. And as I mentioned right off the top, you can download that free First Alert weather app and go ahead and track those rain showers from the palm of your hand. Bill, good to see you on here. I hope you're having a good evening. Just about ready to wrap things up. I've got to get a recording done for our First Alert Weather channel. Of course, you can always check that out anytime. It's a 24/7 channel, always showing just a continuous loop. We've got video updates from the First Alert Weather team in there, and then the graphics that show every graphic in there is on at least twice in a half hour, and there are some graphics that do repeat more frequently than that. We've got the radar in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, always flashing between the local view and the statewide view, and then you've got your extended forecast always on the bottom there. And something else that scrolls across that app will be any weather alerts that are issued. Right now, weather is relatively quiet, and so we don't have any alerts scrolling across the bottom of that screen today. But anytime we get thunderstorm warnings, or it could even be a wind advisory, or We had the frost advisory a few days ago, and not too long before that, we had heat advisory. So all of that information can be found right there on that 24/7 Weather Channel. I'll leave you then with a look at the extended forecast here tomorrow, Thursday, the warmest day of this upcoming stretch. We will see our high temperatures in the middle to upper 80s. After that, just slightly cooler, lower half of the 80s from Friday all the way through next week. Not much in the way of rain chances, but we do have some showers that will be possible late Saturday night and into Sunday. Looks like it's a very spotty chance. And then as we get into the end of next week, Wednesday through Friday, somewhere in there as the cooler weather starts to move back in, and I use the term loosely, it'll be in a relative sense that it's cooler. We could see some showers or even a few storms brought about by that. So with that, I will go ahead and leave you. Hopefully we'll catch you here on Action 2 News at 10 o'clock. And if not, you can check in with Chief Meteorologist Steve Balon starting at 4:30 in the morning. He'll have the latest updates on not only Thursday's heat, but the potential for any rain showers this weekend. Hope you have a great night.